Yeah, I mean, it was disappointing game. I feel like when you play a team like Gonzaga, you got to have a connected group for all 40 minutes, and whether it was fatigue or just the the game itself, I think we tried to make a few too many home run plays on offense and defense, and let it get away from us.
Great. So what do you guys' effort tonight? Kind of all together.
Like the guys play hard. Like that's one thing I respect about this group. The effort is there. It's sometimes placed in the wrong places, and I think that it's a really hard thing to do to have a connected group in an environment like that where you're facing really good athletes, and if you make a forced play, they're going to make you pay for it. And I thought they had a really good game plan against us that didn't allow us to create some rhythm offensively or defensively, and we just looked a step behind, I think, because of that.
So the effort was like put in the wrong places. What do you mean by that?
I just think we're trying to make too many home run plays and on both sides of the ball, and we got to rely on connectivity.
Felt like even with some of the 3-point attempts, I mean, the misses were, it wasn't the halfway down. It was long. It was short. I mean, did you feel that it got to a point where there was some, just guys were rattled or they were, sped up or, just what kind of you think led to that where it felt like the misses were maybe off to a point where something was going on?
Yeah. We've been doing, so this is the first team that I've coached that's been not in the top 30 or 40 in the country in assists. And we were looking at it as a staff the other day. The last 7 or 8 games, we've been top 30 in the country. And so we've been kind of playing the right style of basketball. The ball's been zipping around. And I think that's something that's really critical for our success. And the first part of the game, they had they were being aggressive on ball screens. We were getting the ball to the second side and getting decent looks, like okay looks. Maybe if a guy's in rhythm, that we can kind of live with those shots. But we were shooting contested early, no paint touch threes, rather than getting the ball to the second side, driving those closeouts and playing off those paint touches. And so, I just think get a little rush and you start doing that, and you start relying on who you trust the most. And I think right now our guys are trusting themselves a little too much and not trusting the group.
Kind of the same thing just with the turnovers again in the first half as it kind of got away. It felt like, balls falling off guys' hands, just kind of errant passes. I mean, it felt like maybe you disagree, but that the turnovers were kind of a product of that as well, where it was more just unforced errors than it was, Gonzaga jumping a lane or making a tremendous defensive play or something like that.
Yeah, I know. Now, I do want to give Gonzaga credit. Like they have really, really good hands on defense. They swipe at the ball. They do a great job with that. But our offense is built on like connecting 3 or 4 simple passes together or connecting two ball screens or two different actions together. And we weren't able to do that. And obviously part of that is because of their pressure, and part of that is we were a little bit rushed.
Jim or Theo? What did they do with Glass? He had a tough night. Anything in particular you saw with defending him? Yeah,
we kind of went back to where we were about a month or 2 ago when he's obviously a big part of the defensive game plan for Gonzaga, and when you play a team as good as Gonzaga, if you try to attack them on the first action, the first side, it gets tough, and our team needs to be able to get the ball to the second side for him to have success if we're going to be able to do that. And so a little bit of everything.
What was kind of the game plan on Ike? Obviously, you guys brought a few doubles on him, but he's pretty good at passing out of those and created some open looks. How did that kind of change with what you guys did defensively in this game?
Well, he did a really good job kind of dicing up those double teams early. We didn't go with the right kind of force. I think that's something that we got to look at. Like, he was able to survey the floor, hit cutters. They had a really good game plan with where they were bringing cutters from against our trap. And at the end of the day, he was comfortable, and we got to make sure that he's off balance making those passes, or he's got a hand in his face making those passes. But he was making them untouched.
You coached 15 points from Jerome tonight. What would you make of his performance?
Thought he did a good job of playing with aggression, and I think Jerome's a fighter. He's someone that takes a lot of pride in his competitive spirit, and I appreciate his aggression tonight.
Coach, you got a week off, and then you got 2 teams above you in the WCC standings that you guys are playing. Is it flush it? What's the message to the team, and then how do you get ready for those 2 big games?
We got to get tomorrow off, get rested up, get our minds right, and come in a couple days with a fresh mindset to attack this last part of the season. And we've been playing good ball for the last month or so. We got to get back to that. But there's a lot to learn from this game. Like, we're going to play in a really, really important game coming up that is going to be pressure filled. If guys start relying on themselves, it's not going to be successful for us. And so we got to make sure that we're playing Washington State basketball. We're playing for each other, and we got to get rested up and get our minds right for this big game.
We have time for a couple more, Gage.
How do you bring back mental for the team after a loss like this?
I think we have a really, really high character group, and talk to the team. Who you are as a man it's really shown after adversity hits. And these guys, I think are it's one of my favorite teams that I've coached. And I know the results haven't been where we want them to be, but mental weakness is blaming others or making excuses. And I think that we talked about making sure we don't do that. We want to be mentally tough, and we got to show each other who we are. And that's going to be a really important film session for us coming up in a couple days to attack this the right way. I've been a part of teams that have played Gonzaga and started second guessing themselves after that. And remember 7-8 years ago when I was at Eastern, got our butts kicked out here, and it took us 2 or 3 games to get over it. And so it's really important for us to come in with a mindset and understand what we got to do better and how to attack that.
You mentioned this after Santa Clara. I know one of the plays that stood out from that game was the long pass right before the end of the first half that tied the game for them. It felt like there was a couple of those again today where they get out in transition, and you look up and there's a Gonzaga player few feet behind any defender. What's leading to that, just from what you've seen?
Well, our offensive rebounding scheme is gonna give. Like, in theory, it should give one of those up every other game. And the one at the Santa Clara game really kind of pissed everyone off because it wasn't because of our offensive rebounding. It was because of us not moving on to the next play. I need to go watch the film. I know one of those that was in the first half was because of us not moving on to the next play. But if we're crashing with the right kind of force, then I can live with that. But I know for damn sure we weren't doing that when you get 3 offensive rebounds. So we weren't moving on to the next play is my initial thought on that.
And then you said Saturday that next week you'd have a little bit more on M's. Just we won't obviously talk to you again until after Pacific. Just kind of what is the status, if you have anything more you can share?
Nothing at the moment.
All right. Thanks for your time, Coach.
Go
Thanks, Coach.
We'll have the Zag team